Welcome, everybody, to a Wednesday night edition of the Glen Kuiper Show here on my YouTube channel. Plenty to talk about again tonight. Plenty of baseball stuff to talk about with a very, very special guest who we will introduce in just a moment. As always, the Glen Kuiper Show is brought to you by the Carrick Real Estate Team, who have been helping families buy and sell homes across the Bay Area with a legacy of client-first service since 1978. Contact Mike Carrick today for a free home sale or purchase consultation. Call Mike at 925-548-4132. We are also brought to you by the good folks at Tilden Properties. As an investor, one of the best places to put your money is California's multi-family real estate. By investing with Tilden Properties, you'll see quarterly dividends and equity buildup in the real estate market. They are Bay Area-based and family-owned. Tilden Properties. Call them today if you are interested in being an investor. 925-209-8558. We're also brought to you by Valone Insurance. Are you tired of being overcharged for your property insurance? Valone Insurance has multiple options for your home and landlord property. Save big money on your property insurance. Call Kyle or Ron at Valone Insurance, 925-433-8271. All right, let's get to our guest. He's standing by, one of my favorite people. It's FP Santangelo, one of my favorite baseball people, one of my favorite Giants people, one of my favorite people in general. FP, how are you, buddy?
This is great. Yeah, a Wednesday night talking baseball with Glen Kuiper. We had a little like Wayne's World action going there in the background. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, we I'm trying to find the right music that sort of fits me as an elderly gentleman now, FP. I'm not, I'm kind of past that hip hop thing, but so you try to find the right mix, right? So what's going on? I haven't talked to you since the press conference for the new Giants manager. I talked to you at the press conference, but so we haven't had a chance to kick around kind of what everybody's talking about. The new guy in town. He is the new guy in town. And I think it's been fun, FB. Like, we're seeing him now. He's doing a lot of interviews, a lot of podcasts. That personality is out there, man. So give me some of your first impressions of Tony Vitello, the dude, the guy, because he seems like a pretty cool guy.
I mean, he killed the press conference, commanded the room like I don't know that I've ever been to a press conference like that. And there was an energy in that room that I know you felt.
Yeah, absolutely.
That I definitely felt before he even got there. It was almost like a celebration. And I haven't been to a press conference like that. I mean, you go to like when the Giants sign big players or teams sign big players, and they have those press conferences, and everyone's just kind of, nice to see you. It's kind of like a reunion, a baseball reunion. But there was an energy in that room before he even got there. And then everybody in the ballpark that was in the building, all the Giants employees were there, and they gave him an ovation when he walked in. And it was a tremendous press conference. I hung around a little bit later and got to talk to him one-on-one in the clubhouse for a while, and then spent some time with him that night, one-on-one with a couple of his friends. We have a mutual friend, Sean Kelly, who was a pitcher for the Nationals when I was back there, one of my favorites. And I walked into the ballpark, and there's Sean, and I'm like, "What the hell are you doing here?" He's like, "Oh, Tony's my best friend. I'm the one that told him he's got to do this, and I'm the reason he's here." And he was taking all the credit. I was like, "Shut up." And then we ended up hanging out that night.
That's awesome.
At my buddy's place here in San Francisco, and had a few pops, and just we're talking shop. And he seemed like he was so excited, so enthusiastic. Maybe a little bit overwhelmed, which is to be understood, right? There's a lot of
absolutely, man.
Talking about I have to pick a coaching staff, and he wanted to go watch Max Scherzer pitch in Game 7. I don't know if he flew back for that or not, but his priority was the Giants in picking a coaching staff, and he really wanted to get busy with that. And I think we have some news tonight about that. But just to answer your question, Glenn, like I'm a huge fan. I mean, I was an energy guy, and now the Giants got an energy guy as their manager. So I would have loved to have played for somebody like this. Really, I mean, I think maybe Drew Gilbert had a little bit to do with it, not in the hiring, but the energy he brought to the ball club as a Tennessee guy. And he kind of turned the season around with his energy in the clubhouse and the way he went about it, that maybe just that little jolt was something that Buster was looking for. And then he went out and got the head coach. So he's got a lot on his plate, man. And it's going to be a huge curve. And he's going to be learning every day. He's got to pace himself, man. There's 162 games. So I don't know how. I think the biggest thing is going to be to see how he paces himself. There's not 4 games a week. There's 7 games a week for a long time. So we'll see how that goes.
So what would you say from a player's perspective? and I like asking you this because you're always honest and you were a player for a long time. What are the players, not only right now, but maybe more so when the first day of spring training comes? What are players looking at? What do they want to find out about their new manager? Because I'm sure he's going to contact guys. He's going to have conversations in the next 3 months with everybody, I'm sure, and he'll probably have them face to face. But once that uniform comes on, and once they're in the dugout or in the clubhouse at Scottsdale Stadium, I know big leaguers are. They're smart. They're sharp. They don't miss anything. So they're going to be watching this guy, right? What's he all about now that we're in uniform and these games are starting to play? So as a player, what are they looking for?
Well, it's going to be different for everybody, right? It's going to be the veteran guys. It's going to be the rookies. They're going to play hard for him. But I think that the challenge is going to be like the buy-in. I think if he's transparent and authentic and there's an open door of communication and he's really about the players and not himself, and, without mentioning names, there's been some recent managers in baseball, period, that were about themselves. Mm-hmm. And your point about the players being smarter than ever right now, back in the old days, we played for our manager and we want to do well for our manager. But baseball has changed in the sense it's what can the manager do for me now?
Yeah,
how can he increase my value in the industry?
Yeah.
How can he make me a better player and make me marketable to other teams if I don't play here? So it's more about he's got to be super transparent. He's got to be super authentic. And there's no secrets in baseball, Glenn. You've been around it your whole life. There's great guys in spring training, but as soon as they go 0 for 30, what kind of guy are they? Yeah. Everybody's your best friend in spring training. It's like the first days of school, you like your new teacher, right? Yeah. But there's no secrets in baseball. You live with each other for 8 months out of the year. You know everything about the person. This is a guy I got to tiptoe around because he gave up 6 runs last night. And do I talk to him in the clubhouse? Or this manager's pissed and he'll walk right by me because I'm 0 for my last 12. And this guy drinks too much and this guy does this. And there's no secrets in baseball. Yeah. So I think for him, it's just going to be yourself, man. Let it rip and be authentic and be open and be transparent to these guys and let them know that you're in it for them as much as they're in it for you. And you get that symbiotic, synergistic relationship where you're all pulling on the same end of the rope and you have one common goal. But I think his smart approach would be just be authentic. And I think that's why Buster hired him. Energy, authenticity, and winners win, man. I don't care what level it is. Winners win.
So obviously the thing, we all know the deal, right? College coach, never been a big league coach. I would say in the last 10 to 15 years that the college game has moved closer to the professional game. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think Tony said as much at his press conference. They're kind of and blending together. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, a little bit, yeah, because you watch a good college baseball game now, whether it be an SEC game or a College World Series game, and I've asked a couple people, that's quality baseball. Where does that sit in equal to a minor league game? And some people said Double-A. So I wonder if that's something that will help him, because I think it's still a significant difference, pro ball and college baseball, but it's not nearly what it was maybe when I played in the mid 80s, when you played good baseball. But now, man, it's a different deal. And I think ultimately that's going to continue to close that gap. And I wonder if that could help him a little bit at this point, from just from the game and how it's played standpoint and how it is closer to pro ball.
I mean, the difference is, you look at Pat Murphy, you're a cheesehead. Mm-hmm. Look at Pat Murphy for the Brewers. Like the way they play the game, they 2-strike approach, they put the ball in play, they bunt, they run the bases aggressively, they play great defense at every position, they pitch the hell, catch the hell out of it, they got a great bullpen. Yeah. But they play a brand of baseball that this is the way I do it, and if you don't do it my way, talking about Pat Murphy, you sit next to me for a couple of days.
Sure.
And then if you keep not doing it my way, we get rid of you. I send you to AAA, we trade you. But there's an approach there. Sorry, I keep hitting my table. I did that today on my podcast. I keep hitting the table and it shakes.
Do whatever you want on my show.
We're having an earthquake. But you're not molding 18 and 19-year-olds now. You're managing grown-ass men with beards and long hair that have families and that are multi-millionaires, and generations are set up. And so there's egos in the big leagues, and maybe there's not egos. What he said at Tennessee was gospel.
Yeah.
I mean, he walked on water, and those were 18 and 19-year-old kids that whatever he said was right. It's not that way in the big leagues, man. It's back to the point you were making. It's every day, and these guys see through fake. They see through phony. They see through authenticity. They know everything. Glenn, it's 26 general managers now. Like, these guys text general managers and teams I've been around to say, hey, we need this guy right now. Players text GMs. They know salaries. They know contracts. They know this. They know this guy here. So they're smarter than ever. It's 26 GMs playing baseball, and they don't miss a thing. Yeah. Where maybe we didn't look for those things back in the old days. We just, how can we play? How can we win? How can we make our, and maybe I'm speaking for myself as, a bench guy. How can I make the manager want me to play more, make him want me to play more? What can I do for the manager? But in today's game, it's what you can do for me.
Yeah. And I think it seems like, and I know a lot of the managers, you do as well. Most important trait for a manager, it seems like it would just be honesty. You got to be honest with your players, because again, that's a thing they're going to see within a week of playing for you. And if you're at all dishonest with one guy, or you try to BS a player, well, then the 25 other players in the clubhouse will know quickly, right? Well, then you're done, right? If you don't have the honesty trait as a manager, it doesn't seem like you can survive at the big league level. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. But it's hard because things change so fast. I could tell you, Glenn, you're playing tomorrow, but all of a sudden, or you're playing the third game in Philadelphia, and you're my guy, and then we trade for somebody, and you're not my guy, or somebody gets hurt. Things change so fast. So it's not that managers are dishonest. Some are. But the one thing that he has to be aware that it's the player's time. I've heard from so many players, as a player, as a broadcaster, being around it for so many years, that if you make it about yourself, and you're kind of a dig me guy, and I don't think Tony's this, but there has been cases where, hey man, it's my time. It's not your time. You had your chance. You already played. And, I don't think Tony's going to be like that. He seems like he really cares about his players. You hear that from guys that have played for him. He seems that he cares about winning. He has a passion for detail. He has a passion for work ethic. He has an energy about him where he's not going to make it about himself. And I think the one problem managers get into today is maybe not just being dishonest because things change so fast, is that they kind of make it about themselves. And I don't think he's going to be like that. But I have seen a lot of guys, and I've heard a lot of players talk about, like, it's not about him, it's about us, kind of back to my point I just made.
Yeah. And it just, you know how players are, and nobody wants to be lied to or be felt like they're being, lied to, especially, at the professional level of sports. Yeah. There's been
Glenn, real quick. I was lied to in LA. Davey Johnson told me, go to the general manager. He's making out the lineups. And I would go to the general manager and he'd say, go to Davey, making out the lineups. So they were just playing off each other. And so I was never getting the truth down there as a player. And to your point, which was a great one, they lost me. And here I was playing for the Los Angeles Dodgers in a great place, in a storied franchise.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was being lied to all season.
Sure. Yeah. And you know what? That was a long time ago, and you're never going to forget it, right?
I'm so over it.
You're still pissed about it, and I don't blame you.
I mean, it's a good point. You got to be authentic. You got to be transparent. Those are huge things.
There's been this criticism out there a little bit too, and I wanted to ask you about this, and it does have to do with Bob. We all love Bob. Bob, I think, is a very good manager. Unfortunately, it just didn't. I don't know. I don't want to say it didn't work. It just, I think Buster wanted his own guy in this whole picture, right? But I've talked to a lot of Giants fans in the last year or last summer, the last season, and their thing that always came up quite often was this, well, Bob doesn't show any emotion. And I always kind of went back and forth and was like, well, what do you want the manager the only time you're seeing them is during the game in the dugout. So I would ask fans that brought that up, it's like, well, what do you want your manager to do? Right? I mean, what do you want them to storm around in the dugout and embarrass the play? I'm never quite sure what they want managers to do. But there's emotion that comes out if there's a clubhouse meeting or after a tough loss. You can't tell me that those managers, and I know Bob, don't go into their office and just grind for a while. But so I never quite understood what fans wanted to see, right? And I thought about, we just sat and watched a World Series, maybe the best World Series ever, maybe the best one I've ever seen. And I watched John Schneider, who seems like a pretty good manager. He was the most unemotional guy I've seen, and that's not a criticism. To me, it felt like he's got this thing under control. He's not overwhelmed, but there was no emotion. Dave Roberts, who had a great series managing, I thought, but just from is he ranting around and showing a ton of emotion in the dugout? Not really. So I didn't, and I still haven't quite figured out what people want from their manager. Bruce Bochy, well, he wasn't ranting and running up and down the dugout, right? So, how do you feel about that? And what do we want here? What do we want in our manager, right?
I want a manager that wins, and I don't give a damn how he does it. Now, there's different strokes. I mean, Bill Belichick's got a bunch of rings. Maybe not the greatest example as we speak, but he's got a bunch of rings, and he showed no emotion. Bill Walsh showed no emotion. Dusty Baker showed all the emotion you could possibly show. So it's different. It's different styles, and it's whatever works for you. And it gets back to be who you are. Just be who the hell you are. And if Bob Melvin's a stoic manager, that's fine, but your team can't play stoically. And I felt like at times this year with the Giants, a lot of times you're the reflection of your manager, and those slumps lasted a little bit too long. And I know they had meetings behind the scenes, and I know those guys cared, and I know Bob cared a lot. I talked to him a lot. But sometimes relationships don't work out. I'm a living example of that off the field. But it's sometimes it's just, it doesn't work. For whatever reason. It doesn't mean Bob's a bad manager. It doesn't mean that Tony's going to be a great manager because he's got energy. But I also do think you're a direct reflection of your manager. Like, you think about Dusty Baker teams for the Giants. They play with a lot of passion, a lot of emotion. But then Bruce Bochy behind the scenes knew how to push buttons and get the most out of his players behind the scenes. So those championship teams play with a lot of emotion. They played a brand of baseball that we all still talk about, 10, 12, and 14, and just finding a way to beat you and going out there and playing hard every night and playing good, fundamentally sound baseball. And however this goes, and I'm the eternal optimist, I think they hired the right guy. I think Tony Vitello is going to do a great job. It might not happen immediately. It's going to be a process for him to learn. There's going to be a curve there. But you're going to see a team play good baseball every single night. And if I'm being honest, there's a lot of stretches this year where we didn't see good baseball. It's one thing to lose 15 of 16 at home because you're just snake bit, like six 9-inning blown saves. And if you ran into a hot team, and who cares what their record is? It's not who you play, it's when you play them. But when you're playing bad baseball and you lose that many games after you go out and get one of the best hitters in the National League, that it was just how they were playing to me more than the wins and losses.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're going to see that this year. I really don't. But I'll tell you what, this season's going to be interesting. It's going to be must-see TV. It's going to be the best reality show going to see how Tony Vitello, I mean, he's a pioneer, right? Nobody's ever done this before. There were some examples that I saw in the newspaper, but nobody's ever gone from college baseball to a big league manager. And I know the games are meshing, Glenn, but like I said before, 18 and 19-year-olds is different than 35 and 36.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's going to be interesting, and I think that's why kind of our next subject matter here is so important, and that's the staff starting to come together. And yesterday we hear the rumors about Bruce Bochy joining the organization as an advisor. I talked about it on last night's show. So you got Bruce Bochy as an advisor, you got Dusty Baker as advisor. And I said, I mean, if you're a first-time manager, that's about as good as it gets, because two Hall of Fame guys are both going to be in the Hall of Fame. Have them on speed dial. They're going to be at the ballpark some. And I don't think there's any question Vitello's going to use that. I mean, that's a couple of resources that you couldn't ask for anything better. But that's a big deal to me. And then this whole staff who they're starting to put together. Today, it wasn't officially announced, but Jace Tingler is going to be one of his coaches in the dugout. We don't know what he's going to be doing. College buddies, good friends. Tingler was the manager of the Padres for a couple of years. He's also been a bench coach. So it looks like that's the first hire. But I don't think there's any question, FP, that the most important decisions that are going to be made right now are, who are we going to surround Tony with? And we're not saying, oh my God, this guy needs a lot of help, but I think he wants help. I think he wants people around him to make sure he's doing this the right way, and to make sure, as he said himself, that he just wants to be really good at this, right? He said it in his press conference. He didn't pound his fist and say, we got to beat the Dodgers. He said, I just want to be really good at this. So bring in a good staff, bring in some people who can help them. I think it's going to be fascinating to see how that all falls into place here in the next probably couple of weeks.
Yeah, you got to be careful of not wanting to be really good at it right away, and to not be too hard on yourself, because the learning curve I talked about. Even though those names are great, Bruce Bochy's a Hall of Fame manager, one of the best managers, if not the best manager to ever manage in baseball. Dusty Baker's a Hall of Fame manager too. Sometimes there will be too many voices and too many chefs in the kitchen. So you have to be aware of that too, where I'm getting this from him. When you have 3 or 4 hitting coaches and they're all telling you 3 or 4 different things, it can really lock you up as a hitter when you get in that batter's box. And one coach is like, I think your hand should be down. The other coach is like, put your foot down. And now you're thinking of 16 things. So the challenge for Tony is going to be to use those resources, like in case of emergency. Like if I'm really scuffling with something, go to him. But if he's getting advice from all different corners, that could be counterproductive. He's got to learn for himself. You throw him off the end of the dock and see if he can swim, kind of thing. And if you have too many people too many voices in his ear every single day, whether it's Buster or Zach, those guys are intelligent enough to let him go, and Bochy and Dusty are intelligent enough to let him go. He's there like break glass in case of emergency. As far as the coaches go, Glenn, it's got to be guys with big league experiences. To me, one of the most interesting dynamics as a player that I saw was the relationship between the manager and the bench coach. Mm-hmm. And I was in some scenarios where the bench coach was just like, yeah, Glenn, whatever you say, perfect. And they were just kind of like soldiers, good soldiers, but they would never push back at all. And I think in Tony's case, he needs a manager next to him, a guy that has major league experience managing, whether it's Brandon Hyde or whether it's David Ross is a name I've heard thrown around. Somebody that's been there and done that doesn't have an agenda. That's going to be a loyal soldier next to him. So that's the tricky part, because if you get a manager that's managed, they want to manage again.
Yes, exactly. You don't want to be thinking, but he's helping me, but I think he wants my job, right? And that happens. That's not uncommon.
I know. I've talked to some really good managers that have had bench coaches that had agendas, and if you have an agenda coach, then that can be tricky too. So, and whoever the coaches are, they'll make the right decisions. I'm not worried about that at all. But there's got to be some experience in that dugout that you can trust. Not so much with baseball knowledge, but trust as a person too.
Yeah. It's going to be fascinating. And I think that's what makes this kind of exciting. I know for me, he seems like, and not this doesn't make any difference in the win-loss column. He seems like a really good dude, and the energy's real. It's not fake. But there's also this curiosity around him. How's he going to do? Right. And that to me curiosity becomes really interesting for me, right? I'm dying to know how he does with all these things that are set up in front of him that he's going to have to learn. We all want the Giants to win, But that to me is going to be fun to watch because I think he's going to be good. I do. I think he may not master everything, but I think he's going to learn things quickly. And if he can do that, and the Giants can add some talent, because this team, I mean, there's some pretty good talent sitting there, but they need to add to that. If those two things can come together, this could be a big deal for the Giants organization. I'm not just talking about 2026. I'm talking about moving into the future, the next 5, 6, 7 years, because Buster's young, this guy's young. I think they want to work together. It could really be a good thing for the organization. And that's why I'm excited about it. So that curiosity has me interested and excited about how it's all going to work out.
I asked him the night we were hanging out, I said, you're a skipper now. You're not a coach anymore.
That's right.
I said, have you ever been called skipper before or Skip? And he goes,
Skip.
yeah, it was a nickname. I forget what college he said. I said, yeah, you're a skipper now. There's no more coach. You're Tony.
You're a manager, not a coach.
Oh my God. My first day in professional baseball, I got sent to the West Palm Beach Expos, and Felipe Alou was my manager. And I called him coach. I was right out of University of Miami, and the whole bench got on me, and they're like, it's not coach here. It's Skip or Felipe. You call him by first name. I'm like, you call the coach by his first name? It's like, it's not the coach, it's the manager, dumbass. So yeah. I just called him Felipe and Skip, and I had to learn that whole new vernacular at the professional level. And we were kind of joking about it the other night. So he's excited, man.
There is baseball talk, and if you don't use it correctly, people notice it right away, right? There's a baseball language that we all speak. It's like you don't have a shutout, you threw a shutout. Right? It's little things like that. So when you hear somebody say it wrong, you're like, what did you, what?
Have you ever heard a reporter in a scrum, call it, hey, coach, and you're just like, oh you just threw yourself under the bus. When I was in D.C., it was a football town before the Nationals came back. Yeah. And you'd sit in those scrums in the dugout or a press conference and say, coach, and I'm like, you just told everybody you have no clue about baseball.
Absolutely. It sounds like a little thing. It's not. Really not. All right, let's shift gears, FP. I wanted to talk about Game 7, but we're not going to elaborate on the whole World Series. It was terrific. I think we all saw that. But I saw a note today, Game 7, 51 million viewers across U.S., Canada, Japan, most watch Major League game since Game 7 of the 1991 World Series. You probably saw that note as well. TV ratings up this year. Attendance was up. Terrific World Series. It ends with a fabulous Game 7. I would say baseball had a really, really good year in 2025.
Yeah, and I think it was culminated by the best World Series ever. Yeah. I'm half Canadian based on my baseball career, so I was really pulling for the Blue Jays, and obviously being a Giants guy.
But you're still pissed at the Dodgers because they lied to you, so that comes into play. Can't believe it.
Yes, I haven't let that go
pisses me off a little bit. You don't lie to Frank Paul.
Still pissed Art Howden and pinch run me for Jeremy Giambi too. So that's another one.
That would be a different story. It's hard to stay pissed at Art Howe. He's the nicest man in the world.
I love Art Howe. He's the nicest guy I ever played for. He's the best. And he's pissed about Moneyball still to this day, and he should be.
And he should be. Yeah, he has every right to be.
The biggest gentleman that's ever managed in the big leagues. Or the greatest gentleman, I should say. Yeah, Game 7 had everything. It had a bench clear, for God's sakes.
That's
and then it had the bases loaded, and everybody's locked and loaded in the Jays dugout to climb over the rail and celebrate, and they couldn't get a run in. And kind of Falefa with a short lead at third, and base running's my passion. I get so excited when I see great base running at the big leagues because it's like seeing Sasquatch walk through the meadow. You just don't see it very often anymore. And I saw his primary lead and I saw his secondary lead. And that's something I worked on every single day in batting practice, where I would read down angle off the bat. When your right foot hits, the ball's in the strike zone. And if the ball goes down off the bat, you just continue on the contact play. If it goes up in the air, you stick your foot in the ground, tag up. If it's a swing and a miss, you stick your foot in the ground hard and you work back into the glove, back to the base. So if there's a snap throw from the catcher, it hits you in the back. These are things I worked on every single day. But not to crush the guy, because apparently he was told, but it was Varsho hitting. What are the odds of Varsho hitting a line drive to third base? So
I agree with
Muncy
that.
was
Yeah.
right there, but you can still get a bigger primary, and then your secondary has to. I mean, it's game freaking 7, bro. You're on third. If you
I
score,
know.
you're getting piled on at home plate by 60 guys, like
I agree.
trainers and coaches and clubhouse guys, and everybody's on. Man, I would have probably gotten picked off if that were me, because I would have been so amped up. But like I just, and the difference was an inch. I mean, Jay's having a parade, and then we had to watch Kike Hernandez with his shirt off, spitting beer in the air because of a lot of things, right? It wasn't just that one thing. You don't want to crush that guy, but I think getting back to the Giants, Glenn, base running is so important.
Oh,
And
man.
they have not run the bases well in the past 3 or 4 years. And I think there has to be an emphasis on that and 2-strike approach this year. And they'll win a lot more games than they lose.
Yeah. So another narrative that's out there, which, again, you feel like you should kick this around a little bit, but I don't feel it. I don't feel that the Dodgers winning 2 in a row is bad for baseball, right? That's the thing now, right? And I don't feel that way. Even they won 3 of the last 6. I just don't really feel it. I don't think it's bad for baseball. I said on my show last night, FB, I think it's good for baseball to have a villain team, okay? A team that everybody hates, right? As long as that villain team doesn't win, 4 straight World Series. But my thing too was there's always this, there's no parity in baseball. You got the, big spenders, low revenue, high payroll, low. You have all that. But there is some parity if you shrink it down and look at who's winning World Series year after year after year. Okay. So I looked this up. I think you'll like this. Since 2000, that's a 26-year stretch, right? There's been 16 different World Series winners. So 16 different World Series winners in a 26-year stretch. That's decent parity to me. Would you agree? And we're talking about parity as far as winning the World Series. Now there's certainly not parity when you get to the revenue part, the payroll part, that stuff. I understand that. That is an issue. But winning the World, people have won the World Series. And on top of that, 21 different teams have appeared in the World Series, FP, in the last 26 years. So those numbers to me made me feel like, there's issues down here, but at the ultimate level, the World Series, it's not the same teams winning every year. Would you agree with that? And there are, those numbers are there. Again, 16 different World Series winners in the last 26 years.
Well, I mean, with the Dodgers, you could talk about their payroll all you want, and it's definitely a story.
Yeah.
But you can sign a bunch of billionaires and millionaires, and they could just have their own agenda and their own program. So, like, hats off to Dave Roberts and the coaches for the Dodgers, and even the veteran players for setting a tone there about the way they play baseball. They play a good brand of baseball.
Yeah,
It's not
absolutely.
Just, we think about Shohei and how much money he's making and all the home runs he hits, but like they get guys over, they get guys in. Their role players are scrappy. They're fundamentally down. They run the bases great. They did it with a subpar bullpen. Their starting pitching is amazing. Yamamoto's. I mean, I'm not supposed to have favorite players on the Dodgers, but man, that guy's a freaking stud, dude.
Absolutely. I mean, it's almost like it's
a gamer.
And it's hard to. I don't know. Is there a player that you don't like? You don't like Mookie Betts?
I know, right? They're hard to.
You don't like Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy? Whatever.
Well, maybe Muncy, but they're.
I mean, Will Smith looks like Buster. Kike's a tired act. I will say that. Paez is whatever. I mean, they just. Oh, you don't like Ohtani? Blake Snell's fine. I just, it's you dislike them because, they spend as much money as they want.
They're the Dodgers, is what it is.
Okay, I mean, so did the Mets, and the Mets won 83 games. So I don't know. It's always a great conversation piece, but I guess I'm just not as bothered by what the Dodgers are doing than some people are.
I know, and my son's one of them. I mean, he's got this thing where he just tweets about the Dodgers all the time. I'm like, dude, who cares? I think, and that's an important lesson. I think the Giants know this, but like, who cares about the Dodgers? You got to worry about yourself. You got to take care of business here, and you
Absolutely.
can't compare yourself to them, or you can't try to chase their payroll because there's no guarantee that the guys you sign for however much you sign them for are going to work out. There's always that question about the back of the baseball card. Are they going to gel together? Are they going to check their egos at the door? That's why part of me like loves greatness. Even if the Dodgers are kicking ass right now and the Giants are in a little lull, like you have to respect what they did and how they went about it. And they were on the edge of losing. And if they lost that game, their season would have been a failure. Like if they lost game 7, their season would have been a failure. And there would have probably been all kinds of controversy surrounding them in the offseason. But they got it together, and they had role players like Rojas and Kike and guys that you just don't think about that stepped up in the biggest moments and got it done. And they play a good brand of baseball. They play winning baseball. They have a lot of championship type players and winning players on that team besides the obvious. And that's why they won. That's why they won it all. And I don't think it's bad for baseball. If you don't like it, do better. I mean, that's what we used to say all the time in the minor leagues. You don't like your peanut butter and jelly sandwich after batting practice, play better. And if you don't like it, do better. It's that simple.
Yeah, and that's kind of my point. And really, I guess the underlying problem is really, can teams keep up? Can other teams keep up with the big spending teams? But I mean that's an argument that's gone on forever. It's going to come to light here again at the end of the 2026 season when we're all going to be really tired of the players and owners fighting and all that. But no, I'm not really bothered by it either. And I think part of it is because what you said, all the money in the world. Yeah, I get that. You can buy mistakes. I get that. But they did play a good brand of baseball. Now they got more talent than anybody too, but they played good baseball. And there's no reason why, the Giants can't play better baseball. I mean, we saw the Giants this year probably have too many stretches, as you said, where they didn't play good baseball. And there was no reason why those stretches had to last as long as they did. So, I think sometimes you got to give a good team credit and move on. And quite frankly, this is the last time I'm going to talk about the World Series for the rest of the winter because I'm going to stop.
This might sound weird, but as a major league player, you don't say, "Hey, let's win tonight." You just want to play good baseball consistently. Yeah. So it's not like we're in the clubhouse going, "Come on, we're going to win tonight. Let's win. Yay, sports." It's just like, if you play a good brand of baseball over a 6-month period, and you play fundamentally sound ball, you play good, solid baseball, you're going to win more games than you lose.
Yeah.
And you'll probably be playing in October. But it's just about having that consistency on a daily basis, that buy-in and that attention to detail on a daily basis, where we have the greatest job in America. We're Major League Baseball players. Felipe used to say this after the games all the time. Like we'd be in the shower and he goes, "We are the luckiest people on earth. That's all we have to do is work for 3 hours a day, maybe 4 in a game." He goes, "You know how many people want to work for 4 hours a day?" He goes, "So why wouldn't you just sell out and play as hard as you can and play every game like it's your last?" And I know there's load management and pace yourself. Screw that, man. You go out there and play hard every single day. You play a good brand of baseball. You're going to be 20 games over 500.
I'm smiling because your Felipe impersonation was outstanding. And because you're a TV radio guy, it's just a nice segue right into my final segment of the Glen Kuiper Show as we chat with FP Santangelo, former big leaguer, now Giants announcer. And so there's a show out on Netflix called Who Killed the Montreal Expos. I watched it the last 2 nights. And as I was watching it, I thought a lot about UFP because I know, you started your career there and you got a major soft spot for the city of Montreal and the Expos organization. So if you're watching this and you have Netflix, just watch it. It's really interesting. Who Killed the Montreal Expos is the name of the show. And so I said, I wrote this down. I said, I got to talk to FP about this because I know he has insights that he can tell me. He's probably got insights that he can't tell me as well. But I found the show incredibly interesting because, yeah, I knew what happened kind of, but now I really know what happened. And your 4 years in Montreal were 1995 to 1998. And I was thinking, as I watched this show, FP was there, right after 94 when they had the great team and then the season got canceled. So you felt that excitement from that season, but yet chronologically, it looked like in your years there, you could start to see some cracks in the ownership and some weird stuff happening, right? Am I correct on the chronological here as far as your 4 years as an Expo in Montreal?
Yeah, you're dead on. Felipe still talks about the strike year, and that being the best team that he managed in the big leagues.
So where were you in 94? AAA?
I was in AAA. There was nowhere to go, Glenn. We had young players at the big league level like Marquise Grissom, Larry Walker, Moises Alou, Will Cordero was a short.
Is that a good outfield? That a good outfield?
There was nowhere to go. I was hitting 270, 280 in AAA every year with nowhere to go because we had such a great big league team. But then they started trading those guys away. And I'll say this about Expos fans. They know their baseball. They love their baseball. But they got so bitter that John Wetland got traded and Jeff Facero and Ken Hill. And you just go down the list, Pedro Martinez. And every year all their players were the farm team for the rest of the big leagues. So, you could kind of start to see the writing on the wall. There wasn't a lot of money there. And then there was rumors about the team moving to Northern Virginia. And we heard all those rumors. They ended up moving to D.C., obviously. But there was rumors while I was there in 97, 98, 96, actually, too, where we were here in Northern Virginia. And I'll never forget this bus ride. Jim Beatty was our general manager. Beatty.
Big right-hander. He was a big right-hander.
The big right-hander was our general manager. And it was a bus ride from the airport in Toronto to the hotel. And there was we came from somewhere else. We didn't come from Montreal, but we were playing the Blue Jays. And we were on the bus and we were all oiled up. And Mike Lansing used to just pop off all the time on the bus. And he was in the back and he was just letting it rip to where the GM was in the front seat and we're just sliding down in our seats going, this isn't happening right now. And he's like, you're Northern Virginia Expos. And he's screaming it on the bus. He's like, trade so-and-so, trade everybody, keep trading everybody. We're moving to Northern Virginia. And he was just screaming it on the back of the bus. And we're like, oh no. He's getting traded tomorrow, but there was a certain frustration is why I'm sharing this story about we were always hearing 1 foot out the door, 1 foot out the door, 1 foot out the door. And you talk to anybody that played in Montreal, we all loved it there, man. We loved Olympic Stadium. We loved downtown Montreal. We loved living in Quebec. We loved everything about it except for we didn't know if the best player was getting traded at the deadline. We didn't know if we were going to have a competitive team next year. We didn't know if we were moving to Northern Virginia, which was the big rumor. So, yeah, you live all that stuff. And while you try to put it in a box in a Tupperware and put it in the freezer, you just hear about it all season long. And it started to wear on players, obviously, yeah. Mike Lansing, especially on the bus from the airport to the hotel after you had about 10 beers on the plane. But, yeah, I didn't love that show, to be honest. I thought it was poorly produced. I didn't like the dubbing of the English over the French-speaking people in that show. I loved the French language. I loved the Quebecois up there. And it seemed like a Godzilla movie to me at times where their lips weren't moving. And so I didn't love it. I mean, there was a couple of scenes of me snapping on there, which is really hard to find.
You looked great.
Me throwing a helmet's really tough to find. You have to really sift through the video to get that one.
You looked great, by the way. You really did.
It brought back a lot of good memories. It was great. It was great to see Larry Walker. Obviously, great to see Felipe Alou is one of the biggest influences in my life. Period. I wouldn't be talking to you or even know you if it wasn't for Felipe Alou. He took a chance on me, a career minor leaguer, and told me he was going to call me up in 1995, and he did. So I owe him everything. And he made me the person I am today. He taught us how to be men in AAA or in A-ball when he managed me, and not just baseball players. So one of the biggest influences of my life. So it was good to see Skip on there, not coach, but Skip. It was good to see Skip on there. And it brought back a lot of memories, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Just seeing the Loria stuff and the Sampson stuff and just how shady it got and everybody had an agenda.
It did look shady toward the end. And, like I said, it just looked like bad decisions were made and maybe too late. You know what I mean? There wasn't enough, when things needed to get done, it just didn't look like anything got done. And then you just run out of time. Right. And
but there's families involved. There's players' families involved. The fans love the team. We all just went through something like this across the bridge.
Yeah.
And it's just, it sucked. It did end up working out personally for me being the broadcaster for the Nationals. And I think that's why they hired me, because of my ties to the Expos. But it was a sad time in Montreal. And I went up there in December, Glenn. I did some stuff, promotional stuff for a children's hospital. We're raising money for a wing in a children's hospital, and did some autograph stuff. And it's the first time I've been back to Montreal in like 24 years. So it was kind of nice to see my old clubhouse buddy Moose and guys that still live in the city. And I'll always have fond memories of my major league debut there in the 4 years that I live in downtown Montreal. It was a very, very special place. And anybody that's been to Montreal knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And you think about what happened. And a couple of years ago, it's actually longer than that, probably 7-8 years ago, I wanted to put together kind of a history of expansion in baseball, when the leagues grew and who came in and what years. And then I wanted to do a page on relocation. And I have it in my baseball book. When did teams who went where, right? The St. Louis Browns moved to Baltimore and became the Orioles, right? But, I don't know if people ever realized, but in 1972, the Washington Senators became the Texas Rangers. Okay. I'm not trying to do some history lesson here, but my point is from that time until the A's just left Oakland to go to wherever they're going, from 72 to 2024, there was only one team in Major League Baseball that moved, and it was the Montreal Expos. I'm talking about full relocation, not moving, to the other side of the city for a new stadium. I'm talking about packing up and going. So think about that. From 72 to 2024, one team moved in Major League Baseball, and it was your Montreal Expos. So that's how infrequent this happens. And now, of course, the A's are gone, but Major League Baseball in general doesn't like teams moving. And, the numbers back it up, where you got, a 40 or 50 year, whatever the number was years wise stretch where only one team moved, which is a good thing for baseball that it doesn't happen a lot. But when it does, it's devastating. And I just felt like you weren't there when it happened, but you could see it happening. That was my feeling when I watched
when they were playing half their games in Puerto Rico. That was a joke.
Yeah.
That was an absolute joke. And then Major League Baseball took over and ran the organization before they moved, and it didn't even have owners. It was owned by Major League Baseball. And
Frank Robinson was the manager.
Yeah.
And I think they said, Frank, because I think Frank was working for Major League Baseball at the time. And I think they were like, Frank, you need to this is your job. You're going to manage the Montreal Expos. Because I can't imagine Frank really wanted to go up there and manage.
No, and traveling to Puerto Rico for his home game.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. So, all right, FP, I'm going to let you go. We're going to wrap up the show. I love talking to you. We could talk for a long time, but, I got to get to bed. It's past my bedtime. So it's great seeing you. I'll see you soon. We got to talk baseball again quickly. I can't go without not talking baseball with you for very long. Okay. So.
Well, I love talking baseball with you. Thanks for having me on, man.
All right, man. Thanks, buddy.
It was a pleasure. I'll come on anytime you want.
I know you will. I do. And I know you and Susan Slusser have a new podcast out. So good luck with that. You guys.
Splash Hit. It's called
That's
Splash
a good
Hit.
Combination. So
it's on the Foul Territory Network, Splash Hit.
Good. Awesome, man. Thanks,
I'm a
FP.
podcaster now, Glenn.
Yes, you are. Yeah. Be careful. All right. See you, buddy. Thanks, man. All right. FP Santangelo, my guest. He is indeed one of my favorites. Good guy, and gets it. He gets the game. He gets what it's all about from a player's perspective. And also now he does an excellent job as one of the broadcasters for the San Francisco Giants. So that is it for tonight's show. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the guest. Hope you enjoyed our conversation. As the baseball season is now officially over, we're going to start bringing in guests a little bit more and still talking about baseball, but other sports too, including an NFL segment. But before we go, Bake That Dough has a super chat, we like to call him. Bake That Dough says, big fan FP, love the old school mentality. By the way, is that the tell it goodbye patch on the sweet Russell jersey behind you? That's right. I saw the jersey, and I would imagine that it probably was, knowing FP. He wasn't going to miss that kind of stuff and wasn't afraid to drop it on his jersey. So Bake That Dough, I appreciate it. I should have got you in before when FP was on, so I apologize for that. But as always, you're one of my loyal watchers and listeners, and I appreciate that. So thanks to everybody tonight. I'll let you know when the next show is coming up, but we will keep you updated on certainly new hires by the Giants coaching staff. That's kind of the big news surrounding the ball club right now. So again, thanks for joining us. And I got to let you know that our show is brought to you by Tilden Properties. You know the drill with Tilden Properties. Bay Area-based, family-owned. Tilden Properties has been building investment wealth for their clients since 2008. And if you want to be a client, that's the number, 925-209-8558. Trust me, it's worth the phone call. Also brought to you by the Carrick Real Estate Team. Whether you're moving up, downsizing, or making that first family purchase, trust the Carrick Real Estate Team to guide you home. They've been doing this since 1978. Family-owned, family-run business, and that's the way they operate. Good people. CarrickTeam.com is their website. Call them, 925-548-4132. And Valone Insurance. Are you being overcharged for your property insurance? Valone Insurance has multiple options for your home and landlord properties. Save big money on your property insurance. Call Kyle or Ron at 925-433-8271. Thank you, as always, to my sponsors. Thank you for all of you who are watching. Remember, hit that subscribe button. And as I said last night, we are now getting very close to 9,000 subscribers in just over 6 months. I would have never imagined that I would have got this far in this short a time, but I got there because of you. So let's keep on rolling. Check out the videos. There's a whole bunch out there. My producer, Ryan, is doing a great job with all the videos on the YouTube channel, the Glen Kuiper Show. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me, everybody, and have yourself a good night.